Hello everyone, I'm Carthu and welcome back to the dojo. Today, I wanted to discuss the future of Dragon Ball after Super's ending and how it can realistically be improved if a new series is released in the future. Of course, some of these changes could also apply to any movies we get in the meantime, and I hope they are. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. The first one is a big issue that has plagued Dragon Ball Super for the past 2 years. Production has been in shambles and episodes are scrambled together in order to get them to air on time. This all has to do with the pre-production of Super, which was remarkably short compared to other series. While most anime gets 6 months to a year in pre-production, Dragon Ball Super basically had 2 months. That may sound like a decent amount of time on paper, but as the production started to tear at the seams by episode 5, it becomes clear that a show like Dragon Ball Super should have gotten the year in advance that I mentioned earlier. Why am I saying a year, the high-end mark of the pre-production I just stated as an average? One reason. It's an ongoing series. Where series like My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, and Attack on Titan all get a break in between seasons, Dragon Ball Super doesn't get that luxury. When a show doesn't get the ability to stop and redo a pre-production, it makes it harder to retain that initial quality as time goes on. Imagine if the first 10 episodes of Dragon Ball were finished ahead of time. That's 10 weeks of content done before the next episode needs to be done when the industry standard is 6. This means we'll be in a cycle ahead of schedule for a long time until everything settles into the new cycle. Time between episodes isn't the only benefit to a production like this, though. An uncommon practice that Super takes part in is having 2 animation supervisors per episode. That's doubling one of your highest paid staff in order just to get things completed on time in a decent manner. Imagine a world where we only had 1 supervisor per episode, like in Z. There wouldn't be a constant style change in episodes, and more importantly, there'd be more people on the rotation, which is another way to artificially increase the time to produce between episodes. To explain simply, if I have 10 animation supervisors, then in the current Dragon Ball Super scheduling, that's 5 weeks between pairs. But with a new schedule, it would be a more fluid and a max 10-week cycle. This would give more ability to move key people onto more important episodes while still keeping the quality at maximum. Overall, a better pre-production just means the series will be better in general, and that actually leaches into our next 2 sections. This is the point that people think is Dragon Ball Super's weakest. The issue tends to come down to the fact that too many cooks spoil the broth. That's not to say they all aren't decent cooks, but they have different styles and approaches that can conflict. This is partially hurt by the scheduling I mentioned earlier. The less time this writing team has in the schedule, that means the less time to write out the characters and discuss the points that they want to hit as a collective. This means that episodes constantly shifted personalities for the same character. Vegeta is probably the worst case of this, especially in the Tournament of Power. He constantly changed from not caring too much about Ultra Instinct, to being angry about Ultra Instinct, to wanting Ultra Instinct, to not wanting Ultra Instinct. It felt rushed, and while having 2 of these factors, i.e. wanting Ultra Instinct, then denouncing it, works fine, it's when his motivations and character are so muddled that we begin to feel like he went full circle. This is obviously due to a lack of communication between the writing staff as to the direction they were taking the character episodically in order for it to line up with Toriyama's notes. More importantly than even this is the fact that there doesn't seem to be one central voice in the writing staff. Whereas anime adaptations of manga have a creative voice they feed off of, aka the mangaka, anime adaptations of notes only have so much to build off of. This is Super's main issue. No Toriyama manga to base its story off of leaves us feeling a bit all over the place in terms of the character writing. While I don't think Toyotaro's manga getting ahead of Super while it's off air will help too much, I do think that the Toei writing staff coming to more of a consensus will be greatly helped by time, and possibly writers like Toshio will step up and take charge of everything. This is another one that most people hate about Super. It has a different aesthetic than Z and Dragon Ball, to the point that most people actually dislike it. So how do we change the aesthetic of the series without it being an unrealistic expectation? Well, the main thing that needs to be changed are the character designs. Notice, I didn't say the character designer. Unfortunately, in Japanese culture, respect is applied to everything, including work. This tends to mean that someone who has been in a position for a long time, or a part of a company/brand for a long time, gets treated with the utmost respect. So while some of us may want the young and talented Yuya Takahashi to be the character designer for Dragon Ball, that most likely won't happen. Naoto Shida, another fan favorite who is a veteran of the Dragon Ball franchise, also stated that he wouldn't accept the position if he was offered it, because he wants the position to go to a younger person in the industry. Which makes sense, it keeps the series alive through younger people and not relying on the people from the beginning. But that's not realistic to happen, like I said with Yuya Takahashi. So, assuming there's no replacement, how can Yamamuro realistically improve his character designs? It's simple, actually. He already made improved designs, so just use those. I'm not talking about his Buu Saga or DBZ movie designs either. The series art needs to represent the modern art of Akira Toriyama, which is especially shown in the Kanzenban cover art. The art is obviously too detailed to be animated, but a simpler approach can garner great results, and those character designs were made by Yamamuro for the 2008 special, Yo, Son Goku and His Friends Return. Look at these designs. Loose and animatable when needed, but still have the muscle and definition when the scene requires it. These designs are the best of modern Dragon Ball in my opinion, with a change on the cheek shading to a more defined indented one as opposed to the single stroke, to highlight the face shape obviously. These could possibly be the most beautiful aesthetic for the series so far, especially a modern take. Of course, the colors would also have to be these more faded, darker looking ones. With these model changes plus an increase in production time, Dragon Ball's next iteration could look beautiful for a very long time. All in all, these changes are all well within the realm of possibility for a new Dragon Ball series in the future. With the recent announcement of Dragon Ball Super's revenue being insanely high for 2017, I'd be very surprised if we don't get a new series in the near future. These are just my opinions, of course, guys. So what do you guys think? Leave your opinions and counterpoints in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want more Dragon Ball videos. But for now, video outro!